So we are here to talk about the dynamics ultimately of reality creation, and we can start this dynamic off by beginning to talk about the history of the species. But in fact, you have all been on the planet long enough that you know, the history of the species bleeds through, the truth of the dynamics bleed through no matter what. And so, you know, if you look at the dynamics of the consensus reality, there is an understanding in the very depths of beliefs that, you know, you were, what's the word, fucked with during certain parts of your evolution in order to upgrade you to the point where you are now. And obviously, your consciousness has gotten out of hand so that it is not controllable anymore, since you're all awakening and breaking out of those old dynamics of beliefs and judgments. It is a well known thing these days that simply by changing what you believe, you can change the reflections of your reality. And in that change of the reflections of your reality, you can cement in a whole different way of going, especially if the unconscious way of going, conscious, subconscious, unconscious, if that dynamic, that the way that you have been going in your life has been more from your subconscious, and that when you, even when you have your consciousness attuned, it is seemingly attuned to things that are, what shall we say, revisiting old repetitive dynamics of emotional behavior and emotional response to things. So we're pretty much talking about the dynamics of your daily lives in so many ways, aren't we?
Hmm.
That you are living your beliefs. And so the easiest thing to do would be to change some of your beliefs. But so many of you are so deeply married to them because the beliefs come from three different levels of experience. It comes from the personal level of experience that you have been having ever since your birth, ever since your incarnation into the physical, where you are, we're not going to say pre-programmed, because in fact, when you get right down to it, you are given choice in the dynamic within a limited dynamic, right? That whole, your whole belief system around the divine, your whole belief system that the power of the divine is outside of you is, as you have well known, if you've talked to us at all, that the spirit of the divine, that connection to the divine, is in your heart center. And you begin to, that's where you begin to make your changes, is within that heart center. So, our suggestion in this dynamic of energy, getting right down to the nitty gritty, is before you ever look to identify healing, before you ever look to fix things that you think are wrong or pieces of yourself that are bad and wrong, you find that heart centered connection with the divine, with all that is, that you allow yourself to explore and to make that connection so that you get more and more comfortable with it, so that you realize that this is a part of you and that you will never be alone. You will never be abandoned. You will never be any of these things, because this is a dynamic that you would call love, but we would call mastery. It is a place where everything becomes possible, where it becomes possible to move beyond the old beliefs and old belief systems that have held you back in so many ways.